Our next guest is an unlikely fusion of mechanical engineer and artist. He helped found eatART, which stands for Energy Awareness Through Art. In their cavernous workshop, dozens of young engineers create giant movable sculptures. Now, the world is not forgiving to people who cross professional boundaries, and eatART exists in the murky world between art and engineering. And yet these young, wonderful, socially conscious artist engineers or engineer artists persevere to communicate profound messages and make technology part of the solution, not the problem. Please welcome Jonathan Tippett.
I like to start out with a good cartwheel. It loosens me up a little bit. Diffuses the stage fright. But it also pertains specifically to what I want to talk about tonight, which is skill and consequence. Skill and consequence are two aspects of the human condition which I think are a little bit under threat these days as technology rambles forth unchecked and everything is automated and made virtual. When I first built the Mondo Spider back in 2006, thank you, we weren't really thinking about skill and consequence. We just wanted to build a badass mechanical spider and plunder around the desert on it, which worked, which was great. And it really is a thrill to operate this machine. That's Ryan Johnston there showing how thrilling it is to get in the seat of this thing and ride it. For the first 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, maybe 60 minutes, it's fantastic. But a little known secret, it doesn't actually take that much skill to operate the Mondo Spider. And there's very little consequence to at least the person inside. The person outside might have a different opinion. But there is a trend in our technology which is to take over all of the tricky parts of life. Take over the braking of your car, take over the steering of your car, take over the driving of your car. And I think that it's important to remember that there's still a life to live. I mean, at some point, are we going to start just building machines that are going to do everything for us? We need to think about some of the most engaging moments we've had in our lives. For me, it involves aspects of activities which require skill. I remember being completely enthralled by the excavator operators when they're just sitting in their little comfy seats with their joysticks completely dialed in. They could stir your coffee with the scoop on their excavator. I got a pool put in once when I was a kid, and I was more thrilled by the excavator operator than the prospect of having a pool. When you start to reel in things like motorsports racing, then you start to introduce consequence into your experiences. So it's the combination of skill and consequence, the ability to use your skill to mitigate the consequence of the circumstance you've created for yourself, that I wanted to reel into my next art project. And dinosaurs. Because I love dinosaurs. They're just beautiful, fantastic creatures. And there's a certain majesty to the aesthetic of a legged beast. So I thought, how could I combine these important factors that I want to try and remind people of? Skill, consequence, and dinosaurs. But I'm a mechanical engineer, so it's got to be kind of like a robot. So I'm building Prosthesis, the anti-robot. Why is it an anti-robot? It's an anti-robot because it has no autonomy. It has no self-awareness. It can't balance or walk or steer for you. It's entirely dependent on the skill of the pilot. It's a 2-story tall, 3,000 kilogram, 100% electric, 100% pilot-controlled sports machine. And the pilot is the athlete. The pilot straps into the middle with a full-body exoskeletal interface and a red jumpsuit. And they have to learn how to operate this thing. It doesn't have any programs or apps. It is a machine that requires skill and practice. You have to earn this experience. And I think that's one of the things that potentially could be lost if we barrel ahead into the world of automation and we let our technology seduce us into just automating and virtualizing every single one of our experiences. So I'm building a giant robotic sculpture to try and make that point. This is a sort of depiction of where we're at in the project so far. You'll see Prosthesis on your left. And the alpha leg is the first part of the project that we built. And we actually have built this. This is a working exoskeletal amplifying suit. This is a 2-meter tall, 500-kilogram robotic leg controlled by the pilot. There are no electronics, there are no algorithms controlling the motion of this machine. It's entirely up to the skill of the pilot. And once you develop enough skill, then you subject yourself to the consequence, which in this case is riding it, which I've done, and it's really scary. We first went up on the platform in November, and man, it was worth the 4 years of work leading up to that. Because this has proven that we can actually make this thing work. And now we're sort of greenlit, at least technically, if not financially, to finish building the world's first sports robot and create something that stands as a symbol for human skill and reminds us that our technology has consequence, and that if we seize that and we take hold of that, if we carpe machina, we can own the future. Thank you.